What's up? What's up? What's up? We're doing a late night Earlverse. Now, there's probably not that many people up and about on a Monday night, but I'm doing this one for the creepy crawlers. I'm doing this one for the true Earlomaniacs. So enjoy, and let's have a fun hour stream. As you guys know, we can talk about the Stanley Cup Finals. We can talk about AEW wrestling. We can talk about stand-up comedy. We can talk about the you-know-what verse. And, I think yesterday in stream number 1, I set an all-time record for trolls coming in, and I didn't get rid of one person. I keep it real. Come on in, trolls. Join me. The water's fine. We are a stream that is unlike the others. Sour milk, what up? You can troll me in here. You can enjoy my comedy in here. You can hate, you can like, you can love, or you can just listen. What did you think about game 2? I miss it. Well, I don't want to ruin it for you. So let me know if you know the results, and then we can talk about it. But, I just finished watching it myself. I was a little behind. But without giving away the ending, if you don't know who won or lost, very good game. What up, William Zoom? We're a little late tonight. Oh, okay. I mean, Edmonton started off with hope when Ekholm scored what was a semi-tough shot. I mean, the announcers made it seem like Bobrovsky let in a bad goal, but I thought it was a pretty good goal, to be honest with you. Yes. I remember once I bought my ex a pregnancy test. She said, and this is after she passed it, she said, "Hey, thanks for buying it." I said, "Thanks for passing it." Boing. So it was 1-0 Edmonton, and then it was almost 2-0 off the stick of number 77 on the Panthers, Mikola. He backhanded it, and Bobrovsky had to make a nice save. And then he went down the ice and scored a goal. Mikola, not Bobrovsky. And then the Panthers just kind of took over. I mean, the Panthers kind of remind me of that Kings team that won 2 cups out of 3 from 2012 to 2014. They're just built to win in the playoffs. They're fast. They're big. I mean, obviously, Edmonton has more skill. I mean, 1 through 6, but I think the Panthers have the better team, 1 through 20. And I did give them the edge in goaltending. Bobrovsky is a better goaltender than Skinner. But I will say, I don't think Skinner's the problem in the finals. I mean, Bouchard had a bad game tonight. Draisaitl took a dumb penalty that, they might, I don't think Barkov came back after that. So I wouldn't be surprised if Draisaitl gets at least a 1-game suspension, especially if Barkov doesn't play in game 3. I mean, that doesn't seem very fair. And Rodriguez, he's It's typical in the Stanley Cup Finals. This guy nobody wanted this year, free agent signing, literally just an add-on, and bingo, he's got 3 goals in 2 games. And none of them fluky goals. I mean, they've all been good goals. Obviously, they take 2 days off now because it takes so long to get to Edmonton from South Florida. But Edmonton, they're going to come hard. Was it Thursday night? So if the Panthers can survive that, yeah, Draisaitl injured Barkov. About, I would say, maybe about 14 minutes left to go in the game. Kind of a real sneaky elbow to Barkov's face. And I wouldn't be surprised if Barkov got a concussion. It was a pretty direct hit. And he didn't come back to my knowledge. So, that screams suspension. Um, you know, but the NHL, they've always had kind of a tiered justice system. Like if that was, say, Kachuk on McDavid, Kachuk's kicked out of the game. Or Bennett on McDavid, that's kicked out of the game and probably a 2-game suspension. What up, Night Moose? We welcome all crawlers. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see, excuse me, how the NHL handles the the suspension. It is a cold business. It's almost as cold as stand-up comedy in Los Angeles. But it's a good series. I think my prediction was the Panthers in 7. But obviously, I mean, Bobrovsky's locked in. And let's not forget, Panther fans wanted Bobrovsky gone. I think in 2019, the Panthers drafted Spencer Knight, who was supposed to be the next wonder kid goalie of the league. Played very well for Team USA. I think he was on the same team as the Kings prospects, Alex Turcotte and Artur Kaliev. It is a cold business. What do you think the difference is between Florida's team this year and last year? I mean, well, a guy like Rodriguez, I think Bobrovsky's playing a little better than he did last year. And, Vegas, they ran up against a pretty good team in Vegas. I mean, Vegas, they cheat every fucking year with that long-term injury reserve thing. Mark Stone sits out, so they get to use his cap hit. And then in the playoffs, they bring Stone back where they're over the cap. Tampa did the same thing. I mean, every team could do it. Just Tampa and Vegas are the 2 best teams. Duke of the Dabbleverse. You are definitely new to the stream, but I welcome you, Duke. Duke. Went to the fridge for a monster drink, came back, and there you guys are. Bam. Can you explain what 2 tiers are regarding NHL justice? Well, I mean, it's and I guess all sports leagues have that. What I mean is, Barkov is he's a star in his own right. He's like the Kings' Anze Kopitar, but he's not Connor McDavid. So, well, thank you for coming back under a new alias. So what I meant by a tiered justice system is, it's possible that Draisaitl, because he's a very good player, won't get suspended. And, if, say, Kachuk of the Panthers did the same hit to McDavid, who's the best player in the league, he's kicked out of the game. And he's probably given 2 games suspension. So the NHL, yes, that is Lois in the background. Lois is back. She's coughing worse than ever, but me and Gail have told there's nothing we can do about it. she'll have that cough forever. So, but she's back, and I'm happy to have her back. Um, so yeah, I mean, it's like the same thing in football when what was that play? I'm a Steeler guy, so I can talk a little more knowledgeably about the Steelers than I can other teams. But like when Miles Garrett took his helmet off and hit Mason Rudolph in the head with it, uh, it wasn't really that big of a deal because it's Mason Rudolph, the backup. I mean, this year he was the third string quarterback. Now, if that's Ben Roethlisberger, Garrett gets a much more severe punishment. Uh, oh yeah, I mean, Stewart's good with the political stuff. I just can't watch The Daily Show, and I'm friends with Michael Costa. I love him, um, but um, I can't watch comedy shows that interject the political stuff. I don't want. I want to laugh, man. Smokey the Spurg, what up? What up? I don't want to when I'm trying to watch a YouTube video or whatever. I don't want to hear about fucking politics. But I get the Daily Show is a comic view of the news. Um, Trump asked for the National Guard, and Nancy said no. National Guard for what, dingbat? Uh, have you been disappointed by McDavid's play, or has the defense just been suffocating? I mean, he's one guy, and it's kind of unfair to throw it all on McDavid. But if you can, and I've always said this about the Kings, if you can, you're never going to stop McDavid, but you can maintain him. He's just too fucking good. I've seen him play live. It's like watching a video game. It's unbelievable how fast he is. TV doesn't quite pick it up. Live, it's like he's just got another speed that no other player has. Um, like I remember one play, Quentin Byfield, who's the Kings' top prospect and probably the fastest skater on the team. There's a loose puck at the blue line in the Kings defensive zone. Byfield picks it up. McDavid was at the faceoff dot, so probably 3 to 4 strides away from Byfield, who starts going the other way, and 1.5 strides in, McDavid took the puck, where most any other player would have taken 4 to 5 strides to catch up to Byfield, if they could even catch up to him at all. And Florida is a suffocating defense. I mean, they roll 4 lines, and it's constant forechecking. So a lot of the time, the puck is in the Oilers' zone where McDavid can't get going. Um, so yes, 110 pounds, 3 times each. Sour milk. Um, oh, January 6th. Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. Sorry about that, Dingbat. Uh, no, but I mean, William, I get that. Um, it's like a comic opinion, an opine show, but I don't watch a lot of shows like that. I watch MSNBC and CNN and Fox so I can see what's going on in the world, see what's funny, see what I can joke about. So I'm not going to watch a comedy-based show that's politically based. Did you play hockey when you were younger? Yeah, I played hockey right up until about maybe a year and a half ago, because the league I was in was in Orange County, which with no traffic, it's a 45-minute drive both ways. So, I was basically driving almost 2 hours just to play, and then another, hour or so to play, chop it up with the boys in the OC. And, I'm at the point now in my comedy life that I can't spend 3 or 4 hours doing something non-comedy related. I mean, I got to utilize that time either writing jokes or trying to get booked somewhere or whatever. So I don't. If you look up Earl Skakel's slap shot on YouTube, you'll find a nice display of my raw power. Ultimate Warrior was my favorite wrestler I've ever. It's really the only wrestler I've dressed up as, other than when I came out to a roast battle show. It's one of the weekly LA shows. I came out as Hollywood Hogan, which was pretty fun. I mean, I had the hardest shot in my league, so I was more of a I was like Kovalchuk. I wasn't really a winger. I was more of a rover. I just went wherever. Um, Not the best defensive player in the world. I guess, and you were a goalie because you're a tall dude. No, no. I mean, I did play goalie once. I played goalie a couple times. I played goalie for this Mexican team. They were all like gangbangers. They were literally gangbangers. They were a gang. I don't know what gang they were, but they all had the gang tats, and it was. Uh, I was the best player on the team. They were too rough. I mean, the league was going to kick them out, and I said to the owner of the league, "Let me play with them one season. I'll just, I'll teach them how to play a little bit, and I'll let them, learn that you don't have to try and fight and kill people." And I remember the first play, I think I was on defense the first game, which is, I'm usually a winger, and I dumped the ball. And this is ball hockey, mind you, which is tougher to play than ice or roller because you actually have to run. And I dumped the ball in the other zone, and there was this Mexican kid on the team, number 8, built like I mean, this kid was maybe 17, but well, probably about my size, but 40 pounds heavier and pretty muscular. And so he takes off to get the ball, and the whole bench outside of me is like, not, "Hey, get the ball." They were like, "Get him." Like they wanted him to check this kid. And there's no checking in this league. But we won the championship that year. And it was wild. They brought like a donkey and shit, and like fun times. I miss stuff like that. Um, the Ocho, yeah, I was the honorary white guy. So then one game, our goalie was hurt, so I had to get in goal, and no one went near me because this team was really rough. So both William Zoom, like today, I wrote, I think, 2 jokes, and they're more almost ideas than jokes. And then sometimes I have a recorder with me that I carry with in the car, and of course, a phone's a recorder too, but I'm old school. I like to have it's a little miniature Zoom recorder. Did you get invited? No, that team kinda disappeared. I'm not sure what happened to them. We didn't really keep in touch. Um, it's the second Hispanic team I played on. There was another team who they're like, it was unbelievable. This guy would get out of his car. He had like a Ford Pinto, and like it sounds like a racist joke, but literally like 10 Mexican kids would pop out of this car. There were 2 were in the trunk. I think one was in the engine block, and like they would hold their sticks backwards. They had no idea what they were doing. And I remember I didn't know the coach was gay. So I remember one time I'm like, "Come on, guys, we're playing like a bunch of." And the guy kind of looked at me, and then my buddy afterwards was like, "Hey, just so you know, he's gay." I'm like, "Oh, my bad." And I wasn't asked to come back the next season. Um, yeah, I mean, I would do that. I'm old school. I mean, I'd have a VCR if I used to have like 300 fight tapes. I used to collect fight tapes for like 2 decades. But then, now you have all these basically every hockey fight that's ever happened is on YouTube in digital clarity. So, um, technology is. I mean, I had a VCR, I had a DVD player. I got rid of that, but I guess, like you told me, William, I can watch my Kenny Omega DVD on my PlayStation 5. I have not tried that yet. But someone sent me a clip of Kenny Omega and Kazuchika Okada, I think from 2018, and man, I'm gonna have to give that a watch, because just the highlights were pretty cool. So, I mean, my setup now is, basic DirecTV box, probably like a 10-year-old subwoofer, but it still works. I have surround sound in here, but it's like man, I mean, the speakers are original to the when I moved in here, and so is the subwoofer. Man, that's a 20-plus-year-old system, but it sounds great in here. It was annoying rewinding and returning the VHS rentals back in the day. Oh, 100%. I mean, I do love technology and some of the advances that we've seen. Like, um, I remember when I bought, what was it, a CD burner, and I thought it was the most amazing thing that you could make about, I think a CD held about 22 songs. And I remember working out going, this is fucking amazing. I would have like 3 Kiss songs, 3 Outfield songs, 3 Car songs, 3 Rat songs. And now you can have your iPhone and Spotify with literally millions of songs. Shavers, razor blades. So, I mean, when I was just starting to shave, it was one blade Bic. Now you have, I think I just saw it Rite Aid the other day, a 7-blade razor. I mean, what the fuck is next? They're just gonna shave with a machete? Um, do you think Ricochet goes to AEW? Well, I think he's gonna go to a hospital after, you wanna know how fucked up the world of pro wrestling is? We all know Ricochet's leaving. Now, him and Will Ospreay would be an amazing match, but Ricochet sucks on the mic. He's just horrible on the mic. Talk about someone that needs a manager. Ricochet, AEW, if you're listening, I'm the guy. Clip it. Someone clip that and send it to Tony Khan. But so tonight was basically his last match on TV, and they had Braun Breaker just like destroy the fucking guy. So welcome to the business, Ricochet. Oh my God, I burnt so many CDs. I was just like so amazed by the technology. And I remember it would take like an hour to do it. I thought it was just like mind blowing to me. I must have had 100. I'm like the guy in Boogie Nights, Earl's mixed CD tape number 7. Um, but that was a Ricochet and Okada would be great. I mean, Ricochet, I mean, he's horrible on the mic, so I don't think you could put him up against like MJF because it would be a blowout before the match would start on the mic. But I think Ospreay's a fan of Ricochet, so he'd put him over too. I mean, even Omega and Ricochet would be good. Omega or Ricochet and Jay White. Don't sleep on Jay White. Like he's still got it. Oh yeah, I mean, like some of those 5-blade replacement things are like $20 or like, I do like the what is it, the Dollar Shave Club. Their 6-blade razor is probably the best one that I use. There's also the not Bic, but the what's it starts with the G. I'm a total brain fart. Gillette. They have a 5-blade disposable razor that I really like. The British government has advised all citizens to have 3 days of emergency supplies by Friday. Get yourself prepared, Earl. Well, I mean, I'm not in Britain, so I'm pretty sure whatever's going down, dingbat, ain't going to affect me. How many wrestlers have you heckled for fun at events? All of them. But I will say Soraya's brother got me good in Bakersfield. He was in the warm-up match, so the arena was really quiet. I'm trying to think. He was wrestling a local guy. And I will say Soraya's brother is a very good heel. Like he's going to be good. He's the guy who comes out with her kind of dressed up as like the English Cockney guy. And I yelled at the top of my lungs, which I probably didn't need to, because he wrestles in a suit. Like, hey, we can see your panties, bitch. And he instantly looked down at me and goes, I would hope so with those glasses, mate. He got me. He got me. And the whole crowd laughed at me. That's the thing with a roast comic. You take swings. Sometimes you miss. I listened to the wrestling podcast, the one host used to work for WWE. He said Ricochet would be an awesome heel. Well, he just has no mic skills. It's like comedy. Some guys and girls, you have a stage presence, and some don't. Um, yeah, he got me good. There's nothing I could do about it. Like I had no comeback. I took a swing and I missed, and he didn't. Uh, I mean, Ricochet. I mean, his wrestling is off the charts and perfect for that very choreographed style of AEW. I mean, I would love to see Ricochet and Phoenix or Penta, but I have a feeling that he'd come in hot and then they'd bury him like 3 weeks in. It's like, okay, we got nothing for you. Uh, yeah, but you can't teach mic skills if you don't have them. Like, I don't think you can teach mic skills. Um, it's like I'm great on the mic. I'm a natural heel. I'd be an amazing manager. Um, you can't teach that. It's like trying to be good at slam dunking. You either have that skill or you don't. Um, and if you don't have the physical ability to jump, you're not going to be a good dunker. Like I don't. As strong as my legs are, I used to squat well over 600 pounds. Now I can't do that anymore, but like my legs are still pretty big. I just can't dunk. I just have no vertical leap. So it would be a waste for me to take a class on dunking when I don't have the basic skills to dunk. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of what I'm talking about. Dingbat, we are in Britain. NATO, Russia to respond to our hot war, Russian nuke submarine. I mean, Dingbat, are you trying to make this into the Alex Jones verse? No, I know. I appreciate you giving me a heads up. I mean, I don't think any country's going to attack the United States knowing what the results would be. But look at 9/11. We could talk, political stuff in here too. Do you realize on September 10th, 2001, that no one in the US government probably thought, yeah, we can get attacked? Yeah, I could see a plot where terrorists hijack, there's supposed to be a fifth plane too, that, they stopped it. But like, I mean, 9/11, when you look back at it, is really amazing how they pulled that off. I mean, it was unfathomable September 10th that could happen in America. So, dingbat, never say never. I don't think anyone would attack the U.S., but who knows? There might be a lone, Russian Kremlin, or if we cross Israel, I'm sure the Mossad's already here in some capacity. What up, Velo? Uh, yeah, I mean, we all spy on each other. Um, Yeah, but he always had something on the mic. Ricochet has no mic skills. Very similar to Lance Storm. I mean, Lance Storm, one of the greatest technical wrestlers of all time. But, um, the mic skills were brutal. Until someone in WCW, and this goes to show you can get anyone over with good writing. They had him on the mic. He'd take the mic and go, "If I can be serious for just a moment." Like, they basically turned his mic skill or his lack of mic skills into a gimmick. You'd have to do that with Ricochet. If I were him, if I were AEW, and he'll either go there or to TNA, I would just have him wrestle. Like, you look at Mercedes Moné, she's doing a lot better now because they just have her wrestling, keep her mic time down and just um, let her physical abilities. Like Osprey is a rare person who has Omega as well, although some people would argue Omega's not great on the mic. I think he is, but Osprey has both. Jay White has both. Um, so, Wardlow, great physical specimen, not the best on the mic, but he did give that one good promo. MJF has both. You would have had a better chance to join AEW back when they first started. Yeah. Well, my friend RJ City, I was like trying to pitch him, hey man, dude, give me an audition to be a heel manager. And he's like, have you ever done it before? I'm like, no. I'd be just as good as the guy who comes out with the Mexican guys, the hype man. Did you ever go to any ECW matches? No, because they didn't really wrestle out here. I mean, she's just not. You could tell she's not comfortable on the mic. Ric Flair was probably the best overall wrestler, and I mean of the older guys, and Mike Mann. Yeah, I mean, there's it just chili boots. Um, it's you either have that skill or you don't. It's nerve-wracking talking on a live mic. Um, and I mean, she's got the potential maybe to play that bitchy character. Like Rousey's not great on the mic. What carried her through was that, she was such a badass in real life that you could kind of fucking work with that. Well, I mean, I would just, I would know how to get heat because I'm a student of wrestling. I would take from little bits and pieces from Rick Rude, Bobby Heenan, Jesse Ventura, uh, and there are some wrestlers that would benefit with a good heel manager. Now the key is, how would you introduce me to the AEW crowd where they would give a shit? That's the problem. I'd be totally unknown to the AEW world. Which conspiracies do you believe, if any, do you think are likely to be true? I mean, that's a good question, Night Moose. We can get into conspiracy stuff. I mean, I don't think Oswald worked alone. He was never known to be the smartest guy in the world, so I believe he had help, most likely from Russia. But when you look at JFK, so many people wanted him dead, and with RFK as well. It's kind of hard to nail down who was helping him. I mean, could be the Russians, could be the Cubans, could be people from within our own government. Both Kennedys had a lot of enemies in our own government. Could be the mob. Now I don't think the mob had the technical abilities to pull off an assassination like that. 9/11. I think 9/11 pretty much happened how we saw it play on live TV. I don't think it was done so the U.S. could invade oil-laden countries. I mean, U.S. a lot of people hate us. I mean, I have a friend of mine who works in the government. I'll just say that he, obviously he can't tell me anything because he'd lose his job. But he's like, bro, you don't want to know what we face on a daily basis. Every day we get a new threat that's at least somewhat credible. Your cousin says the CIA who did it. Well, I mean, when you look at RFK Jr., or I'm sorry, RFK, his dad, I mean, can you imagine someone with a gun getting that close to any of the Bushes? I mean, they did with Reagan, but Obama, Clinton. I mean, there was a guy in the crowd with a fucking gun. Like, no checking. It's pretty scary that the lack of security. And you would have thought that the U.S., when JFK got killed, would have had snipers everywhere, including in that library. Like, hey, If I've been to that Daily Plaza, and now I don't know what it looked like in '63, but you know, there's a lot of points of you know areas that you could take someone out in. I mean, you're driving into that fishbowl basically. So the government was definitely behind the ball. Um, well, I mean, I don't know. It's pretty impressive that he got off 3 shots with a bolt action rifle. Like, you have to be an expert, beyond expert marksman. Um, Now, do I believe there was a second shooter from the grassy knoll? I personally don't, because when I was, and of course the configuration's probably different than when I was there a couple years ago. I yelled at the grassy knoll, or in the grassy knoll, and it's an echo chamber. And that's now. So I'm sure back then it was even worse. So I think a gunshot, um, people said, "Oh, we heard a shot come from over there." It most likely, to me anyway, was the echo. Um, but the Hackverse would be covering. We'd be going nuts for you that you're on TV. Oh, yeah, 100%. I mean, uh, you know, if I got on AEW TV, Kevin would be like, "He looks fat on TV," and then Shuley. Well, Shuley's a wrestling guy, so Shuley would probably be a big reporter, a supporter and reporter of Earl Skakel on AEW television. Um, Imagine me and MJF basically doing a roast battle. Oh, Jake was very good on the mic. Yeah, I mean, I think that, and then look at Jack Ruby, the strip club owner from Dallas. He just walks right up to Oswald. I mean, can you imagine, say, if someone did an assassination attempt on any current president, or past or current president, from Biden to Trump to Obama to Clinton, name any president, and they've got the guy who allegedly was the only person responsible for it, and some guy can just walk down the ramp, walk right up to him and kill him. Like, that's just not possible today. So that's a little fishy. I think Dennis Miller had a great joke. Yeah, who was responsible for security that day? Hey, we got Jack Ruby, a known mob strip club owner, walking down here with a gun. Should we let him through? That wasn't a joke, but it was something very similar. Um, um, well, I did fuck up on the hotel room. Here's what happened, Big Black, on the hotel room. So, as I'm driving to Vegas Friday, in the midst of my 7-hour drive, the Comedy Store calls me. It says, "Hey, can you close out the show Saturday night?" No problem. I mean, that's a $500 um, payoff, which is probably more than I'd be getting the whole weekend at Hackamania. So I didn't want to tell Melton that before the show. So after the show, I'm like, "Hey, man, I got to leave tomorrow." Store offered me a spot, and he was cool, but I did cost him money, and I said, "Hey, dude, just pay me for the gas. I'm good with that. Just pay me for the gas." He's like, "No, dude, I'm glad you're here. I'll pay you what I paid you." And so that's my fault. It was my fault. Do you think there was a second roaster when Rat beat Chad in the roast battle? You mean when Ray beat Chad in the roast battle? You mean, do I think Ray had help writing jokes? He probably did, but everyone does. I had help writing jokes, to be honest with you. Um, no, Melton's not mad at me, dude. We've talked many times. Uh, yeah, I mean that Oswald Jack Ruby walks. Yeah, I mean, well, here's the funny thing, William. Well, it's not funny, I guess, but you guys know my obsession with Eddie Nash. There's rumors that Sirhan had a meeting with Eddie Nash days before the assassination. You know, they've called it. Nash the mystery Palestinian man. And then some guy said, no, it was Eddie Nash. So that would be crazy if Eddie Nash were involved in RFK's situation. JFK sent a letter to Israel in August 1962. Yeah, I mean, that's, Israel may, I mean, I've never really heard that, but, I mean, probably every country from Russia to Cuba to, I mean, we've always had weird relationship with Israel. I mean, look at now, we're basically telling Netanyahu to, like, "Hey, man, cool it," and he's off pulling midnight raids or daylight raids. There wasn't even midnight raids. So now that's probably totally fucked up the peace process because Hamas is probably going, "Well, fuck you guys. If you guys are gonna do raids, we're not gonna release any more hostages." Um, well, there's probably something in there that they don't want the general public to see. Uh, I'm sure he was. I mean, Eddie Nash was the number one cocaine dealer on the West Coast, maybe in all of America at that time. Um, so, I mean, which is why people really that was one of the main stumbling blocks to my documentary about Nash is even to this day, people don't want to talk about the guy. Like, because I'm sure he has friends and family who are still alive. Like I told you guys, the one inappropriate Earl guest who I knew had known Nash and had gone to the Starwood and the Odyssey and other, Nash's clubs. And he just shot me a look during the interview. This is audio only, where he's like, so, well, I was pitching a documentary to Netflix and other streaming services about Eddie Nash. I mean, I know Michael Connolly, who's the creator of the Bosch series, is doing something. Um, yeah, 100% Kip Smith. But so far the Eddie Nash documentary, at least my documentary about Eddie Nash, is on hiatus, as they say in the business. 100%. That's why I don't really delve into the Dabbleverse, Kip Smith. That's why I don't sit there and like get involved more because even when Chad and Ray were getting along after the roast, Kevin was like, "Hey, we can't have you guys getting along. There's no money in that." So it's just the whole Dabbleverse has a foundation of negativity, and I get it. I mean, look at my stream where now. Granted, this stream's a little later at night than usual, but we have 17 people in here. Whereas if I was talking shit about Chad and Kevin and Melton and Ray and Julie and Bob and Gino and Steel Toe, I'd probably have 300 to 500 people in this stream right now. Because when I lock in on roasting, I'm almost unbeatable. I'm not unbeatable. I've lost before, but I'm good at it. Because when I hit that fuck it zone, you can't hurt my feelings. And I'm an animal. I go for the gut. My one rule about roasting is if it's true, it's on the table. But well, you'd have to ask Melton that, John Doe. I don't know. I don't know if he means everything about Aaron or if he doesn't. If he means half, I really don't know. So, but that's why I don't really delve into the dabble. And people were like, "Well, dude, you did Hackamania. That was essentially a Dabbleverse comedy festival." But I go where the shows are. I follow the stink. Oh, see, you're be a cafeteria believer of Melton. Um, oh, I mean, I'm friends with Melton. I mean, he did everything he said in regards to me with Hackamania. So I know it would be popular for me to sit here and shit on it and say, this sucked. He didn't give me the money he said he would. He gave me more than he said he would. He put me up and, listen, the Grand is a nice hotel. Now the neighborhood sucks. I mean, the neighborhood's rough, but that's not, he didn't put, it's not like he built a hotel there. Uh, and do you think I could lay on Liv Morgan? I mean, she'd have to see me on stage. Like, you got to understand, like, am I the best looking guy in the world? I'm probably not, to be frank. But there's something about seeing someone on stage, like specifically at the Comedy Store, when, I'm in the leather outfits, the custom-made jackets. I'm doing well usually. Not every time, but usually I do well. It's an aphrodisiac, man. I mean, it's not quite rock star status, but it's up there. Um, do you, so in answering your question, if I met Liv Morgan on the street, she'd probably be like, "Who's this bozo?" But if she saw me play a sold out main room on a Saturday night at the Comedy Store, it's possible. I don't think any girl is out of my league. It's not like I'm a fucking mutant, you know. There's better looking guys out there, that's for sure. But like, um, I think given my skill set at the job I do better than most guys. Tell the story of the Hogan heel turn in WCW. Oh, you don't know that story? Chili Boots. Um, it's an interesting one. Let me know if I don't know. Uh, I mean, I can, but I don't know if do you already know the story or you've never heard it? I believe he's not ticked off at me, but he's ticked off at Aaron. Uh, I mean, listen, Melton is an OG podcaster. He taught Burr and Marin how to do it. So he knows what works and what. Oh, okay. He knows what works and what doesn't work on the internet. I mean, I'm still fucking around in the Earlverse about, okay, what should I talk about? Like, I know hockey's not very popular in the Earlverse, but, it's my favorite sport. And I certainly know AEW wrestling isn't probably what most of you want to talk about, but it's my it's okay, Lois. But it's my favorite wrestling thing. So in terms of Melton, like he's a provocateur. And so is Shuley, so is Carl. I mean, that listen, they hopped on the Stuttering John thing, and like I just have no interest in that. Like, I don't really know Stuttering John. Like I said, I've done one show with him. Nice enough guy. But I don't think he's that interesting to devote that time to ripping into the guy. But apparently he must be, because you've got like 3 different uh, podcasts or streams, whatever you want to call it, who go after him pretty much 24/7. So, but they also know that he will respond. Like if I were him, I wouldn't respond. Because essentially, Carl, Shuley, and MLC to a degree, they're trolling John because they know they're going to get a rise out of him. And, Melton, a little bit with Melton, he doesn't really talk about Stuttering John that much. But so Stuttering John just ignored them. It would drive those guys crazy. But, I mean, you can't argue with the business model of Carl and Shuley. I mean, at any given time, they have 1,250 people or so in their streams, and probably 200 of that 1,250 donating super chats. Like, that's like, hey, man. MLC too. I think MLC they had over 1,000 people in this super chats where it's a machine. So let me tell for Chili Boots. The story of the Hulk Hogan heel turn. I mean, basically, Hulk Hogan's good guy persona had run its course. When he was the face and wrestling bad guys, Hulk Hogan would be getting booed. So I think he went off, take a break from WCW to film that show Thunder from Down Under or Thunder in Paradise. I think it was Thunder in Paradise. Thunder from Down Under is the Australian strip club thing in Vegas. And then they had their big bash at the beach pay per view, which was Hall and Nash and a mystery third partner against Sting, Luger, and Macho Man. Now, the original plan, and a lot of people to this day don't know this, was to have Sting be the third member, which would have been cool because Sting had never been a bad guy before in his life. I mean, he did join the Horsemen, but he was kind of like the good guy in the Horsemen. So Sting had never really been a heel before. And I think Hogan had reservations about, hey man, my whole fucking marketing campaign is say your prayers, take your vitamins, brother, yellow and red. Um, and I think, it depends on who you ask. I mean, Bischoff says it was his idea. Hogan now says it was his idea. Um, I believe Bischoff. I think he said he was on the phone and Hogan was filming the show, and he's like, "Hey, fuck it, let's do it. I'll turn heel." So Sting, Luger, and Macho Man were the team, and then there was Hall and Nash, and then Hogan comes down the aisle, and everyone thinks he's going to save Macho Man from Hall and Nash, and then he drops the leg on Macho Man, and it was like wrestling 9/11. If you ever watch that clip again, look at the guy in the white ECW t-shirt. He's in tears. Like, it was brilliant. It would not have worked as well if Sting were the bad guy. I mean, Hogan had never been a bad guy since he popped on the scene to WWF, WWE. He was always the face, always the good guy. And, that's when WCW started beating WWE for 83 weeks in a row. Um, well, it was just, I mean, Hogan was a much bigger name than Sting. I mean, Sting was more regional to the South, which Hogan's worldwide. I mean, Sting was a very popular wrestler, don't get me wrong, but I mean, Hogan just had that mass appeal that, to this day, you say the name Hulk Hogan, and people, even kids who are 10, will go, "Oh, that's the blonde guy." If you said to a 10-year-old, "Hey, do you know who Sting is?" They might, "Is that the bass player from the Police?" Get the fuck out of here. Yeah, Sting was on. Sting had a couple movies on TNT. He did that one with Daisy Fuentes, but yeah, Miracle's a great movie. Let me see. I do know. Let me catch up with some of the. You'd be surprised how much out of your league's snooze humor can get you. Well, I mean, listen, I'm not a model, but when you see me in the right circumstance, dressed up to the nines in leather and lace, and I come out to Judas Priest. I mean, I'm a fucking performance uh, specialist. So I've gotten plenty of girls' phone numbers after a main room set at the Comedy Store. Um, yeah, Herb Brooks, great. Kurt Russell was great as Herb Brooks. Do you do a bunch of homework on people before I roast? I'm a maniac, man. Now I'll never roast battle again. But if you had an abortion, I'll find the doctor. Um, so yeah, I mean, it was devastating for people. Adults were crying when Hulk Hogan turned bad. Um, I mean, listen, it's not real, but they still put their body through incredible amounts of pain. Um, Oh, I mean, like, look at the kid. Go back and watch Bash at the Beach. Was it 96? Just put Hogan Bash at the Beach and watch the guy in the white ECW shirt. He's fucking devastated, man. I mean, one fan stormed the ring. He was so pissed. And it was perfect the way they did it. When Hogan walked down the aisle, Hall and Nash got out of the ring. And then good selling by Sting. He tries to get up, and I think Hall beat the shit out of him. Uh, I'm not very good at skating. I'm like Goldberg from the Mighty Ducks. Picking up women. Yeah, I mean, uh, picking up women is like It's part mind games, unfortunately, which sucks, but it is. And it's part not cockiness, but confidence. You got to make a girl feel special. Like, hey, man, this guy picked me. And obviously, then when you quote unquote get them, you have to treat them good. Pro wrestlers are incredible athletes. Oh, I mean, dude, look up. Someone sent me this. Look up Omega and Okada. That's OKADA 2018 match, and watch this shit that both were doing, especially Omega. Because Okada's a little more stationary, but Omega at that time, prime physical Omega, like wow. But I have a great shot, John Doe. I mean, I think when I played in my ball hockey league, some guy bought a radar gun, and my wrist shot was, I think, 82 miles an hour. So my slap shot, now, of course, this is with an orange My Light ball, I would guess easily over 100 miles an hour. But by the time I wanted to test out my slap shot, the radar gun broke. Well, in my case, treating them good makes them leave. Because with a lot of the girls I've dated in the last, say, 10 years, I get it really ever since I've been passed at the Comedy Store. That's an aphrodisiac to be with at least a local successful comic. So, it's one of those things that it's just, and it's how I carry myself. If I walked out on stage in jeans and a t-shirt and just told the jokes, good night, here's the next comic, I don't think any girl would get their jollies off. But even when I met Chandler, the first time she ever met me, Sarah Tiana was doing a show at the Comedy Store. Wrestling, Dolph Ziggler was on it, a couple other people. And I walked out in a pair of custom-made pants by Slash's Girl, custom-made jacket. And I think Chandler said to Tiana, "Who's that?" Now, if I walk out in a pair of jeans or board shorts, do you think she says, "Who's that?" Fuck no. But I've always liked to dress up. Gene Simmons says the minute you're out of your house, you're on stage. So I've always tried to look the part. And for the most part, it works. I mean, am I the greatest joke teller? I'm probably not, to be honest with you. But, I have fun doing it. And, I'm like the Kiss of comics, or Kiss the greatest group of musicians. They probably not. But how many people for 50 fucking years wanted to see them in concert over most every other band? Because it's about the show. So my goal is every lineup I'm on at the Comedy Store, I want them to remember me the most. They might not think I'm the funniest. They might not remember one joke I told. But I want them to go, who was that guy in the leather pants at the end? What's his Instagram? Yeah, I mean, exactly. Can you imagine Gene Simmons leaving the house in t-shirt and board shorts? You'd be like, what the fuck is he wearing? Put on the boots and the fucking codpiece and the spiked shoulder pads. I don't want to. I'd like to see Gene shop in that. But he also is touring right now with the Gene Simmons Band. So did you sign up for Melton's direct deposit? There is payment coming to me. Yes, I did, Big Black. Yes, I did. So I'm going to get paid. So, and I told him take 2 nights off for the hotel. He's like, nah, dude. Now, next year I will be better at communicating. I mean, I had a good time, I mean, was the stand-up show the greatest? When I went on last, I probably didn't. Just because I knew when I walked out and the crowd was like, I got a nice round of applause, but not great. I was like, okay, they're tired. And like I said, the guy before me had bombed for 10 minutes. So as soon as I got called to the stage, I saw like 10 to 15 people get up and leave. Now the guy who bombed before me, he might be a great comic. I've never seen him before, but so does the Gene Simmons band have a credit card? No, they do not. And they probably make a couple bucks a week. They're on retainer, probably 2,500 a week or whatever. I mean, it's a nice gig. You play Kiss songs for the most part, which are pretty simple to good musicians. So it's not like, I mean, I know someone in the band, and they literally learned the set list. Their first gig with the band, they learned the set list the day of, and it was like that. So, um, that's not really Big Black from Howard Stern, is it? I like that guy. If it's you, like that's oh wait, the fake Melton. I don't know what I don't know what you're talking about, James, with the fake Melton. Who's the fake Melton? Do we have a fake Melton in here? Um, I mean, I don't think anyone is streaming right now. Well, Pat Dixon might be on Rumble or Twitter, I believe. Now I'm not going to stream this much at this time. Oh wow, I'm a fan, Big Black. If it's you, sorry if I'm reluctant to believe you, but there's a lot of fake names in these streams, not necessarily mine, but you know, uh, I mean, it's everyone's got I'm pretty sure Sour Milk isn't Sour Milk's real name, or Chili Boots. Oh, the fake milk. I see what you're saying. I mean, I was in the green room and I wasn't really listening, but he seemed to be telling a story that just wasn't resonating. I think it had something to do with pedophiles, which I have a joke about pedophiles, so like there's nothing wrong with talking about that. But you got to really have the crowd on your side when you're doing that type of material. Uh, well, it's Gene probably makes 80% of the money. Like with Kiss, he's got to probably split the money. I would guess the split in Kiss with Tommy and Eric in it is Gene and Paul get 40% each, and Eric and Tommy. I mean, Eric might even get 15, and Tommy gets 5 because he's been there longer. Um, but with the Gene Simmons band, which I think is a 5-piece, Gene probably literally gets 85% of the money. So that's the reason. Um, well, if it is indeed the Big Black, you were always good on the roast. Like you weren't even really on the dais, but you would chime in with some zingers. Like I mean, I checked out of Stern a long time ago, but I doubt Eric or Tommy got more than 5%. Well, Eric might have because he is an in-demand drummer. I mean, when Brian May uses that's pretty good. Um, so I would say that Tommy would definitely probably get around 5%, maybe like 1%, literally 1% of the merch, which is still pretty good. I mean, trust me, when I was at the last show at the Hollywood Bowl, merch was fucking flying off the shelves. I mean, from when I walked in to when I left, there was hardly any shirts or jackets left. Well, there's plenty of great drummers, but I think why Eric Singer is in demand is, he can walk into any gig and know the songs. Like, if Glenn Sobel gets sick and Alice Cooper needs a drummer, Eric's probably the first call, or Brent Fitz. Um, and playing Alice Cooper and Kiss music for Eric Singer is like hitting pots and pans. Like I said, when Brian May calls you in to be the drummer, you're a good drummer. Um, so I would say that Eric probably got a little more than Tommy. So 10%, Tommy gets 5. Because really, I mean, Tommy is a great Ace impersonator. I mean, he does really nail the Ace isms, if you will. What do you think Vinnie Vincent does during the day? I don't know. think of ways to rip off the fans. Uh, I can tell by the channel if it's the real Big Black. Shoot a DM to Kip Page. I mean, I'll assume it's Big Black, but like, who knows? I mean, I remember when someone sent me a fake $100 super chat. So, you know, Big Black, whether you're the real one or not, welcome aboard. Kip Smith is my moderator. So, you know, Vinny sits around. Well, that's what I would think, Big Black, but you never know. There's a fake Earl Skakel on Instagram. Then he sits around and listens to the tapes he was supposed to send Earl. You got that right, that bastard. Um, so, I mean, people just like pulling the rug over the carpet over the rug, whatever that saying is on the internet. Yesterday there was out of control in the first stream. I had like 5 trolls coming at me, and I think 3 of them were the same person. You can always tell with the trolls when it's the same person. It's usually a dude from multiple accounts because I can picture it right now. They're in their basement in Steubenville, Ohio. They got 4 windows open with 4 different accounts watching the same stream. And then they'd all 4 type in a row magically. They go bam, 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 bam. At least try and hide it a little bit. Well, the problem is we don't know where Vinny lives. Last I heard, she was living in Nashville, probably under a fake name, making pretty good money doing, session work. That's where a lot of guys go. They either go to Nashville or Vegas. And, there's a lot of music studios in Vegas. So, good luck finding them. I still think my idea, of course, with some of the fake Netflix is a joke flyers I put out, I don't think that I'll be being asked to do that festival anytime soon. But bucket, that took a shot, and I probably erred because I started to see the 2 bookers of the Netflix is a joke festival. All of a sudden, we're watching my Facebook stories. Hello, goodbye. All right, you kids. This has been a late night Earl stream. I can't do those 3 to 5 hour streams. I just can't. When I did Pat Dixon's stream, I think I did 2 of them. We did I think the average time was 4.5 hours. I can't do that. And I know Kevin's, Melton's the king of the long stream. But T Gun, I'll see you. Yeah, everyone, good night. Well, I'm taking yoga tomorrow from 6 to 7, so we'll probably do a. I started the stream too late. I don't think there's a great. We had about an average of 16 people in here tonight. That's better than I thought, to be honest with you. But I think my sweet spot is a little earlier. So some of the old schoolers like AC/DC and Peter Chicken Man Brennan. How about intermittent streaming? There's no way I could stream. I just can't stream for anything longer than 2 hours. Really, when I hit the hour mark, I feel accomplished. Okay, that was fun. But of course, the longer the streams are, the more profitable you are. That's why MLC does a minimum of 3 hours. But those guys and Chuli and Carl and Steel Toe, they're all, doing, minimum 3 hour streams. So I just can't do that. But I think 2 hours maybe is I don't remember what my all-time. I think I did one. William Zoom probably remembers. I think I did a 3-hour stream once, and it was just not exhausting, but it was just I ran out of shit to say because I don't stream snipe. I think I have the only stream where I just literally hit record and I talk, and I banter with the fans. I probably could do 3 to 5 hour streams if I had the technical knowledge and capability of, okay, let's review Ray DeVito's show, or let's review Mondays with Maze, or I just can't, man. I'm in too good of a mood. So Earl Skakel, hit the like button on your way out. Follow me everywhere. Kip Smith knows the deal. Patreon if you want. And I'll see you guys tomorrow night around 7:30 p.m. We're playing for 7:30 p.m.